Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Flip the Script, episode 7, alongside real estate investor extraordinaire Deborah Douglas. Jared Sandler, happy to be with you. This is kind of, I guess it is the morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I don't know when people are going to be listening. Could be morning, day, night. I don't know. But hopefully everyone had a good morning.
That's true.
Earlier in the day if they're listening to this at night.
And the good thing about us, we are always up. So it doesn't matter if it's morning or noon. We're just always available.
I mean, that's,
Seriously.
yeah, sad but true, right? Samson and Emily probably have some thoughts about that.
They do. And
But-
they don't like it, but hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
They
We love
love
what
us
we
regardless.
They love us, and we love what we do, and we love them too.
And we love them
Yes.
so much.
We also love Chelsea Williams.
Yes, I love me some Chelsea, and we have her today as a guest. Chelsea and I have known each other for almost 3-4 years, I want to say. She came to me as a regular client wanting to buy a duplex so she could live in one and rent out and start house hacking. And I was able to help her get one. And then after that, she was like, okay, I'm ready to do more. And so she joined the mentorship. And now, like 4 years in, how many houses so far?
I have one home. I still have my duplex, and I am actually looking for a tenant right now. And I'm on my third flip, which we're going to get into.
Well, all right, but first, you're looking for a tenant duplex. What information would you like to share about that in case one of our billions of listeners and viewers may be interested in taking you up on that?
Oh, I love publicity anyway. I can get it. So I am in Bridgeport, Texas. It is about 10 to 15 minutes outside of Decatur, about 20 to 25 minutes outside of Denton. It is a 2-bed, 2-bath. I've redone the floors. There's a new AC unit, and I am one of the only duplexes on that block that actually has a fence built around. So I noticed that a lot of people in that area have pets, and there was no way I could get around that. And I'm like, okay, well, we need some space for them because a lot of people weren't coming to my property. So I built that fence and I made the investment. And so now I have one of the only fences of the duplexes on that street. So it's $1,500. Where can you find a 2-bed, 2-bath for $1,500? And I am ready today. So if y'all know anyone, definitely reach out and let's get an application. Let's get an application in. It might be yours.
All right, bam, there you
There
go.
we go. If you need a rental in Decatur, please reach out to Chelsea. Please.
Yeah, and you can comment on this post or however you're viewing this. You can reach out to Deba. You can reach out to me. And Chelsea, do you want to drop how people could reach out to you?
Yes, I would love to. I have an email and I can put it in there at strategic footprints with an SLLC.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, but I can drop it in the chat.
All right, info at strategicfootprintsllc.com. All right, you want to take this over because I know that
Yes.
we can get Chelsea going and she'll have us laughing for the next 30 minutes, and then we maybe wouldn't have actually accomplished anything other than had a good time.
That's true. And laughed all morning long.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, before we jump in and get started and telling us about you jumping into this third flip, tell us a little bit about Chelsea. What did Chelsea do as 9 to 5? Why did Chelsea get into real estate investing? And why did you join the mentorship?
Crazy. So I actually started in HR, but before I was in HR, I was actually going to school for my master's in athletic training. And then it just dawned on me after the first semester, like, I ain't gonna make no money. And the life that I envisioned for myself, it wasn't adding up. So I dropped out after my first semester after being the only person of color to make it through. And I weighed real heavy on that. I was like, maybe I'm supposed to stay with it. But I ended up dropping out and I got an HR job about 2 to 3 months later because I was kind of actively pursuing both at the same time. And then I said, well, I'll make 6 figures being an HR manager, so let me climb that ladder. I got my W-2 job, and I want to say I was at that job for 6 months. I had just got a raise, and I decided to buy a duplex. I had some money in my 401k that I had from working at Old Navy in my early 20s, and I had $1,000 in there. And so I took like $8,000 and I invested in Deborah's course. I invested on like my birthday, and I was like, let me just pull the trigger. And I invested some money in her course.
And how did you, hey Chelsea, I'm sorry, how did you come across Deborah's course?
Oh man, that is a whole nother. I went to a real estate conference, and it opened my mind. It really did. It opened my mind. It opened my horizon. But after they give you the information, they pitch you, of course, to join with them. And their pricing at that time was just something I didn't have. And I'm like, well, there has to be someone else who can help me. And I literally found Deba. I think I stalked her for a good like 30 days. Like, let me see what's going on. That's when she was still kind of building everything up. And I'm like, well, it's an investment still, but she looks like she knows what she's doing. And even if I invest and maybe it doesn't work out, maybe I'll get some good information and it won't be too bad. But I'm telling you, after 30 days, I was like, I found this duplex. I think it's a good price. She was like, it's a great price. Let's put it in an offer. And I ended up with a duplex, I want to say, like within 45 to like 60 days of working with her. Because I had already been doing my own research on Zillow and some other places. And so I found it. And she was like, the comps look good. It looks great. And then we've just been kind of rocking and rolling ever since.
So informative and affordable.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
All right. So I didn't want to derail that. I was just curious how you found Deba. So pick back up from where you were headed.
Okay, where was I headed? I was in HR. So that was where I was. I bought my duplex. I used that good old W-2 because it's kind of the easiest way to do it these days. I had my W-2. I had some 401k money. I found an amazing lender at that time. So I got like credits. I got like down payment assistance. At closing, I actually got like a check back for almost $3,000. And so I just held on to that money just to see. And of course, I put it back into the property because it needed some things at the time. But it was just a whirlwind. I remember I didn't tell anyone about my property for like 30 days. I think Deba was the only person that really knew that I bought a property because I had my family and friends and nobody was doing what I was doing. And they say, if you want to, learn and grow, you have to get out of your circle. And so Deba was like that only person out of my circle at that time. And so she was the only person I kind of told. And then I think I told one of my cousins and that was it. And I held on to it. And I finally shared it with my friends and family. And they were like, well, make sure you get a good price. And my dad was like, don't let any realtors gyp you and make sure you get a good insurance rate. And I was like, it's done. Like, we've already done it. So I took that first step by myself. Thank myself. And I thank Deba so much for just being a pillar. I thank God that he put her in my path. And Instagram works, y'all. Social media works if you work it, because that's how I found her. But I'm just so blessed and grateful that I like took that shot, because I'm still one of the only, in my personal friend group, I'm the one who owns a property. I'm the one who has an investment. And they, tell me sometimes they're like, we're trying to get to where you are. And I'm like, I'm trying to get to where Deba is. And so I'm kind of now that person in my group that they're like, what is Chelsea going to do next?
That's cool because I see and hear the conversations you have with people, and you are to them kind of a leader and an inspiration for what they want to do. But I just hearing Chelsea say that it's cool that you kind of create these leaders and inspirational figures in their circles, right? Like Chelsea's kind of that, like what you're saying. You're that for your friend group, right? They look at you and they're like, wow, like this gives me something to kind of look at and shoot for. That's pretty cool. I never really thought about the way
within
that
the circles of their lives. Like,
that's
you
pretty
become
neat.
now the trendsetter in your group.
They're like, we want to buy homes, and I'm like, do it, buy it, or whatever business. I'm like, do it, y'all, just do it. Who cares? And if you fail, you try, try, and it might blow up. It might grow into something awesome. So Deba showed me what it's like to take a step, and then, in our group, we get to see each other take steps, and it's great. It is a domino effect for sure.
That's pretty neat.
That's really cool, because when you really think about knowledge is power. The more knowledge you know, the more exposure you'll have, and the more your life could literally be substantially different by just tapping into something that you didn't know. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about, you've done one flip, you've done two flips. Give us a quick overview on those last two flips before we dive into this third one.
So our first flip was like a textbook flip. It went how it needed to go. It was in Carrollton. We finished up that home, and the weekend it was on the market, we had like 3 or 4 offers in. And so it worked out really, really well. We made a $30K profit. And we actually got the house on the MLS. Devil put in an offer. We were all on a Zoom call. She was like, let's just put in some offers. And we put in offers, and they accepted one, and we were under contract. So that one was amazing. That one was Baxley. That's like our baby. But the next one was San Paula. San Paula gave us a run for our money for sure. We dealt with contractor issues. We dealt with things just kind of popping up here and there, things done or not being done to the level that we expected. And so it taught us a lot more about project management, and that you can't, you won't home run every one, but you have to keep going. So that was last year. My partner and I have been gearing up over the last year to get this next and third property that we have. And so now we are like taking it by the reins. We are project managing. We are the leaders. We are the bosses. We're asking more questions, because when you're working with, good contractors, they'll just kind of do it. And then we didn't work with the same contractor for the next home. And so we expected that same level of attention to detail, and we didn't get that. So then we just learned a lot more of either stick with what you know, or you're going to have to be on site telling people what to do, and just, being bosses more. So this third property, I mean, we are there. I'm going there after this call because I need to see what's going on.
And so before we jump into the third one, because a lot of people are nosy, and like you talked about it, but you didn't really talk about it. Can
Okay, so we want to know
the numbers? So Baxley, the one in Carrollton, what was the purchase price?
It was it was 170. No, it was 270. So we got it for 210.
Okay, 210. What was your rehab budget?
And then rehab was 60, 65. And I believe we hit 70 by the time we were done. We were over budget, because that was like, y'all over budget. So it was 65. We ended up spending, and then our ARV was 345, but we actually sold it for 350. So we still made some profit, or made great profit.
Love it. Okay, and then tell us what happened with the other one in that was Mesquite, Dallas area.
It was like that, that little area.
What was the purchase price on that one?
I remember the numbers on that home. I think we got it for 150, and the ARV was supposed to be 290. The ARV, no. We wanted 290, but it came back at 305.
Got it.
So we had a little bit of cushion.
What was
by
your
the
rehab?
time we got it on the market, standard 3-bed, 2-bath. It had a carport. I mean, we gave the bathrooms, we gave the layout. The layout was good. It was just those attention to detail things that was turning buyers off. We ended up spending, I think, another 65 to 70 on that home. But by the time we held on to that home for like 8 months.
Yeah.
So we were upside down. We lost money in that deal. And that's why we had to take a step back after a year. We had to rebuild our savings. So we were on a high after Baxley. We were doing good. We took vacation. We were like, let's do it again. I got the next home, San Paula, while I was on vacation. I was on a cruise, and I was trying to like sign papers while I was on the boat.
I feel like I remember that.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember having that conversation.
I was coming back like the day of, and so I was like, I gotta get off the boat. And then they weren't trying to really hold the property for us, and they were like, we need the 5K, we need this, and sign the papers. And I'm like, I need a second. So it was like a lot happening at that time. Home, and again, we held on to it for about 8 or 9 months, and I mean, that $2,300 a month was like eating away at us. The electricity, electrical bill, utilities was kind of eating away at us, and we both lost about 6K, 6 or 7K, just because we had to hold on to that property like for an additional 4 months. We had to pay for insurance again, and so that was like another $1,500. Keeping up with the home, we ended up having to like build a washer dryer nook just to give the buyer something to look at. So that was another $1,500, little maintenance thing here and there. And so it really kind of ate away at us. And I wouldn't say ate at our confidence, but it definitely kind of gave us a step back, like, whoa, this is not what we expected. We did not expect to lose this much, but you win some, you lose some. They also say it takes 5 years to get good at something. That was always, she shares her highs, but she shares the lows, and she's like, you're not going to win them all. Some other mentees in the group are like, you're not going to win them all.
And I think that's
So
something
we
that's
sat back for a
great.
year, and now we're back in the game because you only lose if you quit. So we just were like, let's keep doing what we're doing. We became coaches in the group, so we were actually walking properties and seeing in that time. And so now we're back in the game, and it just feels so surreal because it's all coming full circle, and it just feels right.
Yeah, and I think there's something great about what you went through. The first one was like textbook. Everything worked out perfectly. The contractors did what they were supposed to do, and you made a decent profit. And then you were like, okay, I think all of them are going to be like that. And then you go through another one that, unfortunately, depending on what was going on in the market, the house, kind of what the buyers were looking at, it didn't really work out the way that you intended it to work out. And you lost money because that's something that a lot of listeners may be listening thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this because I need to get out of debt and I need to do all these things. But just knowing this is a risk and the market can turn significantly in the course of 3 to 4 days. So you never know what's going to go on with the market. So now we're here. You guys have had a chance to take a step back, sit on the sidelines, kind of help other mentees in the cohort. So you kind of are still learning, but it's not your deal. And now you are here where we have found a deal for you, and it's in Garland. Talk to us about purchase price rehab and kind of where we are right now with the house.
Got in Garland. So excited we're in Garland because Garland always sells. So we bought the home for 142. The ARV that we projected was 275. When the appraisal came out, because Longhorn helped us with the appraisal, they sent someone out. It came back at 297. So with the number of bedrooms and bathrooms that we were able to do, and he was asking us if we were going to keep the carport that's in the front, and he was like, you might want to keep it. That's going to add another 5 to 7K to your ARV. And so it was good that we were there together. So our home appraised $22,000 higher than projected. Went back to Jared immediately. It was like, we need to increase this rehab budget by 10K.
And let me stop you here when you talked about the appraisal with working with Longhorn. So, because a lot of our listeners don't really understand that whole process of like there is an appraiser
yes.
that does go out. So give us a back in the closet,
Okay.
back in office of what it looks like. Okay, now you have your house under contract. What actually happens when you go under contract, and how do you get that information over to Longhorn? Like, what's going on there?
So my partner and I have had a relationship with Jared over the past 2 years. So as soon as we went under contract, even when we weren't even under contract yet, I was texting Jared. I started that group chat. Jared, we got something. It's in Garland. We're ready to go. We're sending over the address and everything. And he was like, all right, on it. Like, let me get this. They had a portal and everything for us to go in, fill out everything, the paperwork that we needed, uploading documents and things that we needed. And so I love that Longhorn has like a portal so you get to see everything, all the steps, what's missing, what's not missing. And so my partner and I, we were able to log into that portal, see what we needed, order that appraisal to come out, and then we were able to get everyone there at the same time. We had a small window that we were able to get inside the home, and it was Monday at 5 o'clock, which is such a weird time. But they wanted Monday at 5, so we made it work. Even the appraisal was like, well, how about Monday at 12? And how about tomorrow, Tuesday at 10 a.m.? And my partner was like, you have to come Monday at 5. And so even that was not a struggle, but it was just, it was like, oh my gosh, it's happening and we've got to get everyone here. But they made it so easy for us to know what we needed and how to like move forward with ease. And every day we were getting emails of, this is what's needed, this is what's
And
next.
remind us again, on this deal, how long did you have in time to close? Like, it wasn't like a month to close. You had like a couple of days.
Yes, it was 10 days that we needed, but that was that was a lot. It was very quick close. It ended up being about 14 days, which is kind of your standard 14 days. So after 14 days, and it was pre-foreclosure. So we really had to close quickly before it got sent to auction, which is a whole nother story because it did end up getting sent to auction. But luckily, we bought the home first, working with Jared and the team, working with title. We had everything we needed on our end to show that we bought that home before it went into foreclosure. So just grateful and lucky that, Longhorn team, they knew what they were doing. They were helping us with title and things as well because there was paperwork we were waiting on. And so they were really helping us on both ends.
Yeah, and I think that's something to really, really talk about is that how important it is to have a strong Longhorn team that works with the mentees, that everyone is aligned and we're all working together. Because having to close in 10 days and get everything squared away is so important, that everyone needs to know exactly what's going on. Everyone needs to make sure that all the paperwork is processed, because unfortunately, if this house was not able to close on time, you could lose it, not just because the wholesaler was going to take it to someone else, but because we were on a time crunch because of the foreclosure. So that was huge that Longhorn was able to work out their entire team, make everything processing, underwriting, get where they need to be. You were able to get access because the appraiser had to get in, so you were able to get all your contractors in, which didn't delay you starting the job to get going on the project.
Exactly. So it was like all hands on deck, boots on the ground, and there was never any pushback from the Longhorn side. They were just like, we're on it, we're doing it. Sometimes you can work with different companies and they're like, well, we gotta wait and we gotta do it like this. No, they were on it. They were like, let's see, you need to close by this day. We're gonna try and close by this day. And so it kept it was because a wire was sent at 2 p.m. So we had to wait the next day. It was different things, but I'm just grateful that the Longhorn team was on it. It was never any stall or anything because of that side. They were on it, they were moving, and I'm just so lucky to have, Jared in our corner and the rest of the team. They were helping us and they got us to the finish line.
Well, you're my girl and I appreciate you. But I'd also say that, that's one of the benefits. And Chelsea, you're a little bit of a unique case because you mentioned earlier you're a coach now in Deba's program. You've had experience. This is your third deal. You kind of know what to expect and you're prepared. But the beauty, like we got a group text, right? That I have with you, a couple people from your team, Jake on our side.
Yeah.
And we're constantly talking about, hey, we got, 1, 2, 3 Main Street, we need X, Y, and Z. We got this deal, 4, 5, 6 Main Street, we need X, Y, and Z. And it's a constant communication, line of communication, and then same for, with the borrowers as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that team environment that you kind of create helps make life easier for us, and I'm sure it makes life easier for all other parties involved.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I've learned from you and the way that you work with your mentees and your team and merging with our team is just, hey, not every conversation needs to be a one-on-one. Like, let's put in a group. We're all there. We all know what's going on. That way we can all help each other however we are able to make things happen and to be able to get across the finish line as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. Because I can be honest with you. I am the bottleneck. So if you send it to me directly, it may take 30 minutes. It may take 2 days. Who knows? Because I am the bottleneck. I know that. That's for sure. So if I put everyone on the team, then everyone has hands on deck. So they're not waiting on me or waiting on one person. We all know what's going on. And if someone can't do it, someone else can pick up the slack to help us move forward and get you guys to the finish line. Because I will say one stressor that I'm always dealing with when we have mentees under contract that I really can't sleep at night is making sure that they don't lose their earnest money, because that $7,500, $10,000, that's a lot of money for someone that's brand new into this to lose. So I'm always like, okay, do we have everything we need? And the team with Longhorn and with my side, I mean, they make it so seamless.
And I just know Longhorn takes special care of us because we are in your mentorship group. And so they know, like, oh, they're serious, they're ready to go. And it feels like that from the start. Like, okay, they're in our corner, they know what's going on, help us from start to finish. So I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. And so right now you are in the middle of doing your entire rehab. So tell us how this rehab is different than the last two based on new knowledge and just things that you picked up along the way. How are you handling this project better so it doesn't look like the St. Paula deal that you did?
Well, from being a coach and to just watching Deba in action, I try and ride around with her when I can. I'm like, let me get in the boss's car, let me see what's going on. And I watch how she interacts, with contractors, like, hey, what about the doors. And they're like, oh, I get to it. And she was like, yeah, you're going to get to it. When are you going to finish? I need dates. And so now when I'm speaking with them, they're like, oh, we're going to start drywall. Okay, well, when are you going to start drywall? Tomorrow. Okay, well, when are you going to finish the drywall? Um, Wednesday. Okay, so when I come back Wednesday, it'll be, close to being finished. And so just giving dates, giving timelines, getting clear communication, because you might start tomorrow, but you might not finish next week. And because I let it linger, it stalls the project. So just making sure that there is clear communication, clear start dates. I myself or my partner is not holding up the project. If you need shower valves, say you need shower valves. Don't tell me, 2 or 3 days later, because I can go to Home Depot right now and get it. So just, making sure that we're speaking with them. And then when we're doing our draws with Longhorn, because we need some money, I'm just making sure that we are like, hey, I need y'all to finish this because I need to show that the roof is done. I need to show that foundation is done in order to get money. So I know y'all are listening out there. A draw is when you put in a request to get money back because work has been done. So we were able to put in for roof, foundation, a couple of other things, and we met one of the team members, Colin, and he's been great. And so just forming relationships with everyone there and them just having our back. It's just been really, really helpful.
Chelsea, so you're now using SiteWire for the draw process. I think you were around prior to that, but what's that experience been like, and how has it maybe made life a little bit easier?
It just makes life easier because, we know what we're putting in for, we can see it. And then once Longhorn is coming out, we kind of know what's happening. And so I just love that it's just an easy process. You release the funds the next day if it's done, at a certain time. So just knowing like, hey, if we need money by Friday, we need to have put in a request on Tuesday, if not the latest by Wednesday. Like we know what to look out for. So even my partner and I were on a call yesterday and we're like, oh, we have a lot coming up. We have our first month that we need to pay for. We need to pay for drywall that's coming up. We need to pay for, HVAC. And so we're kind of like playing with the monies. We're looking at the sheet that we submitted that has our rehab on it. And I'm like, all right, partner, well, they're going to do drywall and tape and bed, and then they're going to do paint right after. So maybe in the next couple of days we can do paint, drywall, and something else. And so we're keeping it on track, and then just making sure that the draws make sense because we do have to pay for the draws. And so we just make sure that we're getting things done like in phases and it makes sense.
That's awesome. One thing as I'm listening to you talk, I remember the first house that you flipped, and I would ask you about, okay, how's the process? And you're like, I don't know how to build houses. I don't know what's going on. They're just saying this is going to be done. And listening to you now, when you're breaking down drywall, plumbing, all these different things, I'm like, you have gained so much confidence and you've gained so much knowledge that now it's like, this is what you do. It's not even something like you're tiptoeing around it. Like you're showing up with so much confidence and so much courage and boldness that it's very powerful to sit here and watch you because it's like, oh, it's like a proud mommy moment. Like, this is what I created. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm so excited. I always tell my friends and family, and even my mom, she's like, you and Deborah doing okay? I'm like, yeah, we're doing okay. She was like, okay, make her proud, do right by her. And I'm like, yes, ma'am.
I love it. Okay, now
So
before we let you go, because I know you were busy and you said you got to meet some contractors over at that house in Garland. Tell us a little bit about how much money are you anticipating to make on this deal? Is everything going on track with the contractors?
Everything is on track and it is going well. We are anticipated to make 40K. And if 40 is good with me, I'm like, you know what, God, thank you. So I've been saying thank you in advance. And I'm like, if my partner and I can walk away with 40K, we can, recoup, what we lost. It'll be, what does God say? I'll give you back tenfold or sevenfold what you lost. And so I just feel like we will recoup what we feel like we lost because we didn't really lose. We just had a little setback. And so that 40K will feel real good, burning a hole in my pocket once that check is signed.
And we're planning on finishing this house in 40 days.
40 days. You know, we was at 45 and then Deborah was like, we can do it in 40. So now I really got to get over there because I'm like, hey, we have 5 less days now. So let's get it going.
I love that. I love that. Okay, and so before I let you go, there's probably some listeners that are listening and they're like, I want to do this. I've seen so much growth in Chelsea. What advice can you give to that person that's listening?
I would say take the swing. I mean, if you have to do it alone, you know, in my case, do it alone because you can find community, you can find partnership, you can find, you know, mentorship in the group. So, you know, even if you have to start by yourself, money is not a problem the way you think it may be. Yes, you need it. Yes, you need some money. But there are avenues, there are options for you to win. So I would say take a bet on yourself. Scared money don't make no money. And if you don't join, then you just gonna have to keep watching from the sidelines. And who wants to do that?
And I would also say, just to add to that, yeah, I understand there's going to be some fear, but you say scared money don't make money, but you got a safety blanket, right? I mean, being a part of Deba's community and mentorship group, you're in good hands, right? That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. Not everything works out perfectly, but you're in about as good of a position foundationally as you can be being a part of that community. So that's as an observer, I say this all the time, not getting paid to say this, wouldn't be doing this podcast with Deba if I didn't feel strongly about what she does and what the mentorship group brings to that community. This isn't some forced marriage, right? So I really do believe that, and I'm sure Chelsea and everyone else can attest to that you guys set your mentees up so well with the support system that now has grown just from you know, people like Chelsea, people like Sean, who coach, and they contribute their knowledge, and it's become this growing family. Now it's like almost like a third generation, soon to be fourth generation family.
Seriously.
To add to that, you know, when you're winning with Deba, you're winning big. You know, it's gonna feel great. And even if you are on that opposite end and it's kind of losing, she's going to cover you as much as she possibly could. If we would have been working with anyone else or not knowing what was going on, we could have lost so much worse. Like, she really was like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're going to cut this percentage down. We're going to do it like this. So honestly, she really did cover us, and you can't win them all. But as soon as we got an offer, you know, we were like, we don't care. Just let them have it. We can't negotiate anymore, but she covered us so much in that season. So that's why we came back, because we were like, we know we're in good hands. And so if you're thinking about it and it's fear, just tell fear to get out the car, you know, and do what you need to do.
Yeah, Chelsea, you've used some baseball analogies, so I'm going to just explain to you something that a lot of people talk about in baseball with a player's career arc. They have a great rookie season, right? Your first deal was great, and then you have the sophomore slump because the rest of the league's got a little bit of a scouting report on you. You take a step back. People are wondering, well, how are they going to respond? And some guys don't respond well. Other guys jump back that third year. They start to show that growth, and then they take off. And I feel like this third deal is you showing that response, taking a step back in the right direction, and now it's just going to take off from here.
Oh, now I got to put that on a shirt.
There you go. Love it. Well, Chelsea, thanks so much for taking some time to share your story. Thanks so much for being a part of our team here at Longhorn, and thanks so much for entrusting us and coming into our lives. And I know that Deba probably feels the same way about you entering her life about 4 years ago.
Y'all for having me. I appreciate it. I'm just glad to be here. So if you're listening, make sure y'all tap in, because this is the place you need to be.
We love you, Chelsea.
Love y'all too.
All right, there you go. Well, Chelsea probably could have stuck around, and when she emceed your event, was it at Papados?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think I was laughing the entire time. Yeah, just like one-off comments.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us. For Michael Prager, behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons, I want to thank our special guest, Chelsea. For Deba, I'm Jared. Flip the Script, episode 7. We'll talk to you later.